Thanks for staying with us. Fuji music legend, Nima's friend, KWAM 1. Nima, you're supposed to be on this show today. Fuji music legend KWAM 1 recently made headlines after a dramatic incident at Abuja's Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on August 5th. KWAM 1 attempted to board a value jet flight to Lagos with a flask with content suspected to be alcohol, which obviously is prohibited on domestic flights and international flights. When the aviation security personnel asked him to surrender the flask, he refused and allegedly spilled its content on the officer. The situation escalated, with KWAM 1 standing in front of the plane and refusing to leave. Then the pilot initiated takeoff procedures without clearance. Now, KWAM 1's PR office has also come out to say that the story was exaggerated, that things didn't happen the way it was portrayed, that he actually obeyed and he complied with the officials when they asked him, and he also told them that it was water that was the content of the flask. Now, whose side are you on, and why did this even happen in the first place? You can join the conversation 020-163-52013, 090-241-63440. You can also send us your messages on X and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to share your thoughts. Okay, who would like to go? Damila, let me start with you, because I would like you to also, in your own words, give us an understanding of the story.
Maybe I'll start by asking that, because from the video that we saw, he was rightly standing in front of the aircraft.
Wrongly?
Which was wrong.
Yes.
No, as in he was there. We saw him there, which was wrong, which was detrimental to his health and safety. I think in anything we do, safety is the first precaution we have to take.
How is he supposed to know that the plane will move?
No, but the pilot didn't also see him because he was regarded as a blind spot. Fine, the pilot had her emotions becloud her to have moved without getting the clearance, the appropriate clearance. But I
think you should mention that FAAN had suspended the
FAAN has suspended the two pilots, but I also think that because this still looks like a
so as you're talking, we're having more videos. I think somebody has another different angle. So I didn't see this video online, but these are new clips, another angle we're seeing. Him being resisted from climbing up or obstructed from going up the stairs, obviously because of the content of in his flask. So we've seen another angle here. But Dami, keep talking.
What I felt was that basically there are some things that I think as humans we should consider first. There are other people in that jet. It wasn't a private jet exclusive to him alone. So of course, causing obstruction was also detrimental to the time. I also think that for whatever it is, he's well traveled. He's well exposed, so he should know. And maybe from news and sketches that we have around says that maybe he's not been drinking alcohol for a while. Nobody knows actually, because in one report he claimed that it was medication in the flask, even while his PR team said it was just water. And we also saw that he spilled the content on one of the officers, which I also believe that there must have been a smell that would have purported it to be alcohol. Because water does not smell. So if the PR team says it's water, how did they come about alcohol? And we're hearing now that, it's a false claim, it's been exaggerated. But I'm sorry to say, I'm from Lagos, Isaleko, and the behavioral pattern we see around these people is that of him not being too very nice. The words are on the streets.
We'll come back to that. Let's start with what happened.
What happened is based on emotions.
Yes, you've explained that. I've heard your view on that. I'd like to hear somebody else's thoughts on what happened, and then we'll go to what we think caused it, based on the behavioral patterns you're talking about. But let us start with the video. What are your thoughts, Mariam?
For me, scary, I say a lot of this, actually, lots of stories, just showing people being quite unruly on, flights, have no regard for their safety or the safety of the thousands and hundreds of people on the same flights as them. And I think that is quite unfair, but it's also quite sad and quite embarrassing, if it involves such a personality as KWAM 1. He's respected for how long he's been in the music industry. We know that he rubbed shoulder with, you know, the creme de la creme of our society. And so there's a certain sort of regard and respect for him, which I feel he didn't reciprocate to the airline and the proceedings or procedures of boarding a flight. There was no need for him to have a flask. He should have handed over the flask. There was no point having liquid in, you know, but also it also shows that because when we all board, I don't know if there's a special procedure for people of a certain whatever, but when we all board, we pass through the screens and scanning like everyone else. And from there, we're told what we can take on and what we can. So how was he able to go past security, you know, and get to the plane? But it was good. It shows that even at the, you know, that if some people missed that step, some people were willing to make sure that the right thing was done. Now, finally, that video where it seems as if the way the story was told, as if he stood to stop the plane. Do you remember that his Ganusi whatever? When I just said he stood in front of the plane, and then the pilot was like, "Are we Ganusi?" She just Ganusi, and she Ganusied him, and did you see how he flew out from under the craft?
Yeah,
that's so scary. So for me, you know, in my opinion, if he had alcohol in that flask, he may already have been drinking, you know, and that could have affected his judgment, because I don't see how on a regular day, regular person would want to stand right in front of the aircraft. What does he think he would achieve? What would he achieve?
All right, let me hear your initial thoughts to talk before we go into the...
Okay, so for me, I travel with flask all the time. Right now, I have one flask here. I have 2 in the car. I'm always drinking different tea. I have tea for morning, afternoon, and evening. So I'm always traveling with flask. Even outside the country, I always have like a flask. So when you're passing through the screening, they will check what is inside. And I usually open and say it is tea. They look into it. And obviously, they will smell that it is tea, because it is like maybe ginger or turmeric or something. And they'll say, oh yeah, just take a sip. I take a sip. Continue your journey. I've never had drama around my tea. Even though you're not meant to carry liquid, I'll be like, it's tea. I have my tea for morning tea. Please, let me just... I've traveled to Abuja with 2 cups, the one that I was going to drink. And they allowed me. So I do not believe that the people that work within the aviation industry are the security, all the people that are there are ignorant of what is inside the cup. PR. Be gentle with the line, because they wouldn't see water and say you have alcohol, you should go down. They will victimize him because they are seeing water. That is not the process. And we cannot all behave like, even if you have not flown before, we will not. And Nigeria is we're very, very respectful. I won't see an elderly person that is carrying a bottle of water and I'll now choose to say that you must not enter here. You have to drop this. Nah, we're not that kind of people. So what I see play out, what I feel must have played out, is a case of someone who's had a little bit of stuff in the system and displayed it in a way that made them to doubt that it is water and asked that he step aside. And it is more obvious in the reaction we got, captured on video. No person in their sane, complete clear eye. You cannot use clear eye. Even if you have different ajesara, you cannot use clear eye to stand in front of a plane. Nobody does that. It has to be that there's influences.
There's another angle.
Okay, so now that
there's another video.
You will not stand in front of a plane.
No, I'm saying there's another video showing him actually standing and walking backwards as the plane was taxiing.
Okay, so
you cannot use clear eye to do that.
So we are looking at it from where we are, saying that you give us an example that you do travel with flask. When it's content of water or tea. Yeah. I know that they've taken my own flask for me, bottle for me. But maybe you have ways of getting through. I never get through. But well, what is interesting, I will come to the part of KWAM 1, because there are some places where you go, you're in a VIP lounge, And VIP lounge, maybe the screening might be somewhat more lax than the normal, for regular folks. Yeah. So from the VIP lounge, you go straight, and that's why it's important that at that entrance, there's a final check.
Again.
So we understand that check. However, the other angle I would like us to touch on is the fact that the pilot is being suspended and her license. Now, is that a fair thing to happen? The reason why I'm asking, because there is no way a pilot can see, because usually there's a protocol. Once the door is shut, maybe they get clearance or she's allowed to fly. But how is she supposed to know that there's a KWAM underneath her trying to
stop the plane?
Yeah. So is it fair to immediately suspend? Although I know that investigation is ongoing, but was it too fast for NCAA to begin to suspend her license?
I think this is for the NCAA to respond. For us, it just seems as it comes across as being unfair, especially with this new video that I'm seeing, where it seems like she must have been cleared to take off, and she was taxiing, and he was just right in front of her, walking backwards as the... This is too funny. It's like a movie. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that this is happening in Nigeria. So it comes across as being unfair, but we don't understand their procedures and the protocols or whatever is, what happens when you have a belligerent person standing right in front of your craft. I don't know if you are meant to just stop everything and she didn't follow the procedure. But for us, just looking from outside in, it almost seems as if because KWAM is such a personality, just maybe to assuage or, pamper him a bit, they have suspended him. But I don't want to, I don't think that, that they will do that. I want to believe that there must have been something that wasn't properly followed, and that's why they were suspended. But really, I cannot believe it. I still believe that that he must have had some alcohol in him to have acted the way that he acted.
Let me go on a very short break. I'd like to go back to what Dami was saying earlier, as in what could have caused it, the behavioral patterns of some of these our musicians. We'll discuss that after the break. Stay with us for break.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So more videos are coming to us. They just got a video from our producer showing different angles. So we saw first the angle where KWAM was under the wings and the plane was about to take off, and obviously he ducked, right? Then there's another video that we saw where he was being obstructed or
where he was
resisted from coming up the staircase.
Okay.
And now there's a third video. We see where he's actually at the front
of the craft, and he's going backwards. He's going backwards.
See the Ganusi.
He's doing moonwalk.
The aircraft of Ganusi, he was going backward and was going backward.
He understood the detriment of his life. Why did he run for his life?
No. So from
my own angle, I feel I can understand where NCAA is coming from by suspending, because the truth is that there were quite a number of people around and the pilot shouldn't have moved, even regardless of what was happening. Maybe she didn't even know that KWAM was still there. There were lots of people, officials, security members still there. She shouldn't. Usually they clear away completely before she starts moving. So for the fact that somebody is still there, I think it was not for her to move at all.
So if we are going to look at it critically, the truth is that at where she was, I don't know, sometimes to save images, we tell lies. If that was a lie that she wasn't cleared, because I also do not want to believe that, I don't know how long she has been flying, but I once went to College of Aviation in Zaria. My father wanted me to be a pilot. I don't know why, maybe not me for drive this plane, who knows. But then there are some etiquettes, and we don't even allow, you are not allowed, you are not allowed to be beclouded by your emotions.
Right.
So I do not think that she had a personal confrontation with him to even know probably he was there or not. It wasn't her job.
Okay, we were told that she came to intervene at some point, so she knew what was going on.
Okay.
She came
so
outside at
that point, she must have felt that, okay, you people settle your scruffle. I have other passengers on board.
Exactly.
And don't forget
that she
that
instructed them to close the plane. So she's aware.
Everything is time by time, because she's also being timed.
Yes.
Maybe she has 2 or 3 shifts to run in that day. Like, why you people take care of this? That was the job of the airport security, not even the pilot. She must have come down to, I think that pilot is a noble profession. It's different from driving downfall. He just stood there like he was seeing downfall driver, and the pilot was seeing LASMA officer, and he's like, downfall and LASMA no dey agree for themselves, because really there was no need, absolutely no need for that crass behavior. Looking at his personality in town, he's a grandfather. These things are things that his grandchildren will do, and he will spank them silly.
Yeah.
As in, he will spank them bad. That how would you jeopardize my name Don't forget that a name is involved now, a title is involved.
Yeah.
Your village people are involved. When they now bring this matter, they say, okay, Jebu people. That's how it begins to go. And you say, oh, Yoruba people are rude, musicians are proud, this and this. It's because Ile Latin Kesho Road, the charity begins from home. What you don't have at home, you can't give outside.
Okay.
And
So when you were talking about the fact that the pilots might have made a decision, there are so many processes to taxing, too many processes that I believe strongly there should be investigation, and transparent investigation at that, about what really happened there. However, by all standard aviation, global aviation standard, the first person that should be suspended from being able to fly is KWAM. Like, the moment that happened, because when you have, we see videos abroad, there are always, people do this abroad too, and they are human beings.
They are considered as terrorists.
The moment it happens, one, you can be considered a terrorist. Two, you are put on a list. You're not allowed to fly. You're not allowed to fly at all. They put maybe 6 months or 1 year off. You are not allowed to fly because you are obviously not obeying the rules that is expected for those who fly. So investigation, the NCAA has a responsibility to investigate. Whatever we let slide will thrive. We have people that, you know, this, do you know who I am? I'm going to call this person. Those kind of behavior has gotten us to where we are. It happens with buses. It happens with, in smaller areas. Now we're seeing it on a bigger scale, that the activity of one man can lead to this much rancor, and we're all discussing it. So I am appealing to the NCAA to make an example of this situation. We need to, like, it's not just everybody's eye. We're all looking at this, and it is going to set precedents in future. Let
me read some excerpts from the press release by KWAM's team. Okay. He's told us that the head of airport security officials from relevant agencies like FAAN, NCAA, as well as the chairman, managing director of the airline, have already called him to tender apology and even go as far as arranged a private jet to bring him to Lagos. That would not have happened at no cost if he was wrong. He said it must also be emphasized that KWAM was the victim in this incident. No one else but him and his personal assistant was directly involved. The water was given to him at the lounge. And the staff at the lounge confirmed content even after K1 had opened the flask at the foot of the plane. In light of the recent development, it is important to note that the pilot involved now has her license suspended. Given the circumstances, it is no surprise if she attempts to deflect blame. Surely she must lie to cover up herself. We urge the media and the public to avoid sensationalism and allow the truth, not assumptions, to guide their judgment. K1 remains a law-abiding citizen and continues to cooperate fully with all relevant authorities to ensure that the matter is responsibly resolved. So he is insisting that it was water which he got from the lounge, and they are saying that it's alcohol that we don't know. But again, now let's take a few steps backwards, and I'd like to really hop on what Dami was trying to say earlier, because the truth is that there's a behavior celebrities, musicians, and influential people generally have. Not just an artist, government officials, rich folks, the managing directors. Who are you? Do you think you are? How can you stop me? Is this the domestic flight? I fly globally. Imagine you being stopped. You talk about being stopped in Nigeria. You remind somebody that I was in Japan last week and I flew with my flask. What use, because they have a bit of exposure. So now, in this, why would we find it difficult? Even though we don't agree with some things that law enforcement do, sometimes they do oversabi, sometimes they're overzealous. We see it all across. Even though we have overzealous officials, why do we find it difficult to adhere to their basic rules? Why do we find it difficult as influential people? Regular folks usually, actually not all the time. Regular folks sometimes also
because I was right with regular folks.
We resist police, we resist VIO, we resist last night, we everybody. So where is the Nigerian? I don't want to say the Nigerian thing. I'm trying really.
It's only a Nigerian plane.
No, it's not only Nigerian plane.
Sit down. We will disembark line by line. That's when everybody will stand up and start rushing to the front.
It's not only a Nigerian thing, because we have seen videos from all over the world where people the only thing is that they are mostly black. They may not be Nigerians, but black people are mostly involved. But it's a global situation. But okay, so given what you've read, from the press release, there are a few of the things I feel that he cannot speak on, and we have to wait to hear from NCAA, because that may just be his own narrative in order to make his client look good. But if we were to take that at face value, then he will have to also explain to us why Mr. KWAM was right in front of the aircraft and walking backwards. That is not behavior of someone who abides by the law. And obviously you could hear the ground crew screaming at him to move. You know, when the plane was about to take off and he ran off, you heard someone say, why you no wait? Why you no wait? You know, exactly. Meaning they must have been speaking to him to move from there. So he wasn't completely a law-abiding citizen in that situation. I was going to say before you read that press release that sometimes when we find ourselves, when we have done something wrong and embarrassed ourselves, or there's nothing wrong in owning what we have done and apologizing. I did that, I shouldn't have. That was not the way to have conducted myself. But I find that in Nigeria, we don't do that. Even amongst ourselves, it's just easy to just keep pushing and trying to prove a point. And I hope that when this whole investigation is done, and it's done thoroughly, it would, whoever is wrong should come out publicly and apologize for what they did, the part that they played that was not right, and also to set the precedent for how we want, how we want people to conduct themselves while flying, and how we want officials to also conduct themselves when they come across, situations like this. Let
me take Akin. He's been holding for a minute. Good morning, Akin. You're live. Oh, I'm sorry for keeping you. Yes.
I'm so sorry. So let me quickly say this. Sometimes when we have challenging situations like this happen in Nigeria, we hear things like, we've settled it privately. We hear things like, it's been dealt, it's been handled. So they settled out of court, or it is not, we've decided to settle it in a quiet manner. I don't think we want this in this situation, because it's already come very public. 2 pilots have their licenses suspended. They were not the only ones involved. If indeed the item in the flask was water, then everybody that was wearing yellow jackets in that video, preventing him from getting into the plane, are also involved. So it's not just a one person come and apologize situation. There's a large group of people, the entire head that must roll, all the heads should roll. Yeah. If we don't have consequences for wrong behavior, it will continue to thrive. It's like somebody else would do this in the next few months if we don't have consequences for wrong behavior. So we need not settle behind the scene.
Look, I like what you said. Even the angle I even want us to go to, which you just directed me to, is, the behavior of some of our officials can be very overzealous, such that they overdo. And the overdo here is that the man, it could have been water, but because you have the authority to prevent him, and you insist that I must show power. It happened to us in front of security guards. When they entering small estates, they will show you that they're the one in charge. And you don't care, you have to pour it out. And it's water, and you're insisting, no, this is not going. And because of that, it now caused. So that
everybody can obey. I've been told to pour out my tea, and I poured out my tea. I was told that you can't go, and I poured it away because I knew that was the rule. Even though I've sometimes allowed to. If they say pour it, you pour it.
Not something you
also put our officials also in check.
Yes,
but if we also look at it, like
let me pause you for a second, please. I'll come back to you. George, I believe, is holding. Good morning, George. George, you're live. Go ahead, please. Listen to me, not the TV. Go ahead, please. Tell me, go ahead.
Okay, what I wanted to mention was, according to what Mariam said, that there is no law-abiding citizen that would not drop a cup when it's even detrimental to your flight. Now, there is a certain amount that you should travel with, which says 100 milliliters or less. There is an aggregate. So who knows if the content was even over that speculated required amount.
But he poured it away, Damila.
But he poured it. The allegation was that he spilled it on somebody. Okay. You understand? And that was where I think everything escalated. Because this thing of, I don't want to use that word that comes with it. You just go sit down and you spilled it on somebody. That was...
You are not allowed on that flight again.
That was already... You had already lumped yourself over the person because the person seemed lesser than you were. And that was in an attitude to show who he was, which is not new.
Remember, we're not there.
No, that's what we're saying. Now, we've read different stories. Okay, now why is the PR coming out to say he's a law-abiding citizen if there is no deliberate attempt to twist some stories around this is the narrative that you should hold on to. Accountability is very important. If somebody, like, if it is just simply because this behavioral pattern has continued over the years, it has never been checked, because I don't see what. That's why it will still continue in 2025. If you were abroad, he would have been handcuffed to leave that spot because he would have been considered maybe a first-class terrorist. But here in Nigeria, anything can pass. Oh, you don't know who he is. And I can almost imagine that within that space, they are calling each other and say, oh, he's close to the presidency.
But
let's say it as it
also
is.
give credit to those people who prevented him from climbing.
Exactly.
Because
They
also
had
doing
their job to protect, but somebody doesn't even check their job. He can go on with life. Will they go on with their jobs? They won't go on with their jobs. Okay, after investigation yesterday, we read that he was released to go home. If he was an ordinary citizen, would he sleep in his house yesterday night?
Exactly.
Just an ordinary citizen.
Let me take this call from Gregory.
All men are not, we're not created equally.
Thanks.
Fingers are not equal.
Gregory, thanks for calling. You're live. Oh man, we lost that call. Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.